Hi guys, hello, welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be doing our February TBR, and we are going to be changing things up kind of, but also not really. Basically, I don't know what happened to my TBR jar, specifically my prompts. I was actually really looking forward to doing kind of like my regular TBR game because I feel like it's been a minute since I've done that. If you're unfamiliar with how I normally do it, I typically have like different colored prompts and each color means something different. And yeah, I don't know what happened to my prompts. I think within like the moving, I either misplaced them, I potentially threw them away because I've also been kind of honestly thinking about changing or like making a whole new TBR game, like more kind of like board game style. So basically what we're going to be doing today is I do have this little jar of prompts, which are the prompts that I've been using for my like TBR jar in reverse videos. I've done a couple of them so far, and that's actually what I was going to do today, where I basically start with a TBR of like 10 books and then I use the prompts to take away books. But because we have this new book wall, I want to be able to pick whatever book on this wall that I want. So I'm not going to be starting with the TBR, and we're just going to use these prompts and hopefully they work with picking books, not just taking them away. So without further ado, let's go ahead and pick our February TBR. Actually, before we pick our first prompt, there are a couple of books that I automatically know I'm gonna have on my TBR. If you saw my most recent reading vlog, I did like a 31 books in 31 days challenge, and one of the books that I read was Riftborn, and ever since the cliffhanger for this book, I have been dying to get into the next one, which is Duskbound. And then the only other book that I'm starting off the TBR with is From Blood and Ash, which was the winner of the poll for our Midnight Readers book club. So these two books we are starting off the month with. Let's go ahead and grab our jar and see what else it picks for us. Prompt number 1. Let's pick this one. This one says, oh, already we're running into problems. So this says lowest page count. I'm not looking up the page counts for all of these books, but I will kind of like briefly look over the shelf and just kind of pick the one that looks the skinniest. Also, I'm gonna move this chair because I've got stacks on the floor as well because they didn't fit on the shelves, and the majority of them are actually books that I have not read yet. So we're gonna scoot this out of the way. You can't see me, but I'm down here looking at these books. Lowest page count. Oh, you know what? So I do have this book. This is a like slasher horror book, and this one is definitely one of the smallest ones that I own. I just don't know if I'm like in the mood for a slasher, especially in February, which is like the month of love. Ooh, you know what I'm gonna do? We're gonna cheat the system a little bit. I definitely want to make like a conscious effort to do more reading vlogs this year, and one of the ones that I meant to do in January, but the 31 book reading challenge kind of like got in the way of that. But one of the videos that I wanted to do was like finishing series that I'm in the middle of. I'm gonna pick a book that's kind of the lowest page count, that's the next book in a series. I feel like I'm cheating so hard, but we're gonna pick this one. This is Taming 7 by Chloe Walsh, which is the 5th book in the Boys of Tommen series, and it is the next one in this series that I have to read, and she is pretty small. How many pages does this have? 445. It is so funny that I think a 445 book is small now. I feel like when I first started this channel, I read mostly like contemporary romances, which I do feel like tend to be within like the 250 to 350 kind of page count realm. And yeah, now I read mostly fantasy romances and they're much thicker on average. Yeah, anyway, again, kind of trying to talk my way into this one. From the series that I was kind of like thinking of reading in that video, this book would be the smallest out of those. I'm very aware that I'm very much cheating for this one, but I really want to read this book, and the smallest books that I do own on my physical TBR are all like horror, and I'm just really not in the mood for that. So I'd rather put something on my TBR that I'm more likely to read. So this is the one that we're picking. Moving on. Prompt number 2, let's do this one. The one you know the least about. Ooh, this is a good prompt. What do I know the least about? I feel like all of those are mostly romances, like contemporary romances, and I feel like I do know what the majority of those are about, but actually let me see really quick. I actually did find a book on there. So this one is Playing with Matches, and this is a book that I got from just like a used bookstore, like online bookstore a while back, and I got it because I thought the cover was really cute, and it definitely does look very Valentine's Day-esque, which is perfect for February. And I mean, I have a feeling it's about matchmaking, but I honestly don't know for a fact. So technically this is a book that I don't really know anything about. I actually have a couple of other ones on my shelves I feel like I don't really know much about. So first of all, I have The Luminaries, and this is actually a book that I got from one of you guys, Bestie Julia, and she said that this is one of her like favorite series, so I've been dying to read it. And I know I've read the synopsis at some point, but at this point in time, could not tell you at all what it's about. So that definitely qualifies. But then I also have How It Feels to Float, and I'm pretty sure I got this from Book Outlet, and it was like really inexpensive, and I loved the cover. And yeah, I literally have zero idea what this one's about. I have a feeling it's kind of like a sadder type of book, but like I don't really know. So here's kind of our options. They're all completely different, so I don't know. This one is like fantasy romance, I'm pretty sure. This one I think is just like literary fiction, and then this one I'm gonna guess is kind of like a romance, like a contemporary romance. Maybe because I kind of like cheated with the first prompt, we can kind of add that into this as well. So whichever one of these has the least amount of pages, I'll pick that one, which right off the bat I can tell that this one feels like the thickest, so this one is not going to be the winner. Acknowledgements. Okay, so this one has 303, and then this one has 292. So we're going to be reading The Luminaries, which honestly, not upset with that at all. Very excited. So that is our second book. Prompt number 3. Let's do this one, even though this one tried to jump out and attack me. I'm not going to stand for a bully. This one says an impulse buy. The last prompt had 2 impulse buys in it. Oh, you know what? Actually though, we're going to go with my most recent impulse buy that I actually got, I think last weekend. Except I don't know where I put it. How did I lose the book already? I literally just got it. Oh, I know. I put it in here. That's why you don't put random things in random spots. Basically, this past weekend, I went to Barnes & Noble to pick up this book, which is Everybody Wants to Rule the World Except for Me, which is the follow-up to How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying. I read that book during my challenge and absolutely loved it, so immediately ran out to get this one. But while we were there, I impulse bought this. This is To Bleed a Crystal Bloom by Sarah A. Parker, who is the author that wrote When the Moon Hatched. This book is very, very pretty. It's got cool sprayed edges. I had literally never heard of this book before, but I saw it on one of the tables and impulse bought it. And this one is basically a like Rapunzel retelling, reimagining. And it's actually kind of funny because I was thinking about this book earlier today, and I was actually thinking about the fact that before I read this, I need to actually look up the story of Rapunzel. Like I kind of know it, like the general idea of her like, you know, letting down her hair for like the prince to climb up and save her. But like I don't really know, like I feel like there's more to that story and I don't know it. So I want to like look into that before I read this. But I'm very intrigued. Prompt number 4. Let's do this one. This one says, on TBR, the shortest. Well, actually, this is actually kind of comical at this point how each of these prompts are like flowing into the next prompt, because this is the book that has been on my TBR for the shortest amount of time. I literally just got it, but since we already picked this one, the next logical step would be to pick this one, which I got at the same time as the other one. And again, this is the second in a series. The first book is basically about a girl stuck in a time loop where she has to like save the kingdom, but she keeps dying and being kind of like regenerated in the same spot over and over and over again until she's finally like had enough and she decides to become the villain and kind of try to win that way. And it's just a really like goofy, bizarre, fun, kind of raunchy book, and I'm very excited to get into the next one. So there is our 4th book on our TBR. And final prompt, which we're gonna pick this one. I don't know why I like shuffle them every single time. I feel like I need to do that. This one says best dedication. Best dedication. Okay, obviously, again, this is another one where I am definitely not going to be reading the dedications for every single one of these books. So I'll just grab like a few that I want to read and we'll read those dedications. Oh, actually, another book that I'm going to like throw onto my TBR just immediately is Zodiac Academy. I've been wanting to read this for a very long time, and I've kind of been telling myself since December that like I was going to read this book in February. Why specifically February? I don't know, but that's what I've been telling myself. We are now in February, so this is also being added to the TBR, no prompt needed. And I think actually for this last prompt, I'm gonna pick specifically kind of like fluffier contemporary romances because I feel like we don't have any, and that's like quintessential February Valentine's Day reading. So let me grab a couple of those, I'll be right back. I actually didn't have as many as I thought, but I did grab a few, and one of them isn't actually a contemporary romance just because, again, didn't have that many. And this is a book that I've been wanting to read, and we'll actually just start with this one. So this is the 3rd book in the That Time I Got Drunk and series, which is by Kimberly Lemming. And this one specifically is That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Human. Here's what she looks like. The art on these books are so good. Ooh, I can already tell this is gonna be not the winner. So it says, to my husband who always goes above and beyond to support me, and to my readers who spread the word of my books with the speed and tenacity of wild jungle cats. Never forget that you are incredible and have the ability to change lives. So I do actually really love that, and I love the fact that she like shouted out the readers. But I mentioned this actually in a recent video where I did some like speed dating based on dedications. I prefer dedications that are either kind of like funny or uplifting in a motivational kind of way, like if you're this type of person, keep dreaming, that kind of thing. Obviously said way better than that, but that's kind of like the idea. So that one is not going to win, although again, I do really like it. So let's go ahead and see what these other three have in store. Also, I love the fact that they're all kind of like pink. This first one is Manhunt, and this is actually another impulse buy that I bought a long time ago, purely because this one features a like magazine sex quiz, except I think it's done online. But it like reminded me of the ones that you used to see in like magazines like back in the day, like Cosmopolitan and stuff, which I was obsessed with when I was in middle school / high school. So this kind of like gave me some nostalgia, but that is not what this prompt is. So let's go ahead and see what the dedication says. Well, this one's not gonna win because there is no dedication. Okay, I don't think you're gonna be able to see that because the lighting's too bright, but it literally has like a title page here, the synopsis again, like a smaller version of the synopsis, and then our first page of the story. So this one's definitely not winning, which I'm honestly a little sad about. I just like reminded myself of what that book is about and I was getting excited for it. But moving on, we have Playing with Matches by Hannah Orenstein. I've never heard of the author or this book before. Oh, this one is also definitely not winning. This one says, For My Family, Audrey, Jack, and Julia Orenstein. Come on, Elsie Silver. This one is Wild Love by Elsie Silver. I have had this book forever, like since it first came out, along with the rest of the series. So I definitely need to read this at some point. And let's see what the dedication says. Okay. Good old Elsie Silver. I can already tell this is the kind that I like more. So this one says, for all the women who figured out that good enough isn't actually enough. And for those of you who are still looking for more, it's out there and you'll find it. And if not, don't worry, there's always Ford Grant. I like the fact that it's kind of like an encouraging, kind of motivating kind of quote, but then also it references something in the book. I think that's super clever. This is gonna be our winner. That being said, here is our entire stack. She is very hefty. And let's go over them really briefly again to kind of like refresh our brains, kind of see it all together. So first of all, actually, From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. And then we have Wild Love, The Luminaries, Everyone Wants to Rule the World Except for Me, To Bleed a Crystal Bloom, Taming Seven, The Zodiac Academy, and then last but certainly not least, Duskbound. Actually, another book that I want to add, I was just thinking about my series I'm in the middle of video that I want to do, and this is another book that I really want to read in that video. This is Princess of Blood, which is the follow-up to Servant of Earth. I read that at the end of last year, really loved it, and I'm very excited to get into the next book. So this is also being added to the stack. So anyway, that is everything that I have for this video. I hope you guys have / have had the most amazing of days, and I will hopefully see you in my next one. Bye!